asked many people in our meetings or our engagements or interactions with organizations, I would ask them like, why do you think organizations fail? And they'll say things like people are lazy, or there's no cohesiveness, or too many chefs in the kitchens, too many Indians, not enough chiefs, or whatever the saying. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And what I've always believed is people aren't really lazy. Is that nobody's governing the work. Meaning, if I know that I put out this directive, I can't expect just because you're adults that you're gonna get the work done. So someone has to be the overseer or the the checker. My grandfather used to say things like check the checker. Meaning if somebody's checking you, then you gotta check them, and something has to be checking them to check them, right? It's too many checks, but you know what I mean. And what I've understood is that governance of an organization has nothing to do with being the boss. It's more so who's willing to take on the role to make sure that all the directives that are done from top down are being executed at the level that was discussed. Because you could have the best plan, you could have the most hardworking people, but if you're not checking that work, some people work really, really hard doing nothing. Some people work extremely hard to get around, right? Some people work hard to circumvent, essentially. And it doesn't mean that they're lazy. It just means they're not governed. And when you don't have any checks and balances, and you don't have anybody that's running the reports, or end of day meetings, or midday meetings, you run the risk of your organization failing. And not because you have anybody who's lazy, you not have anybody who's incompetent, you don't have anybody who's not valid in the organization. It's simply because you haven't taken the time to set in place like the milestones, the benchmarks, and the KPIs that you're tracking in these works. And I realized the reason why is because it adds more work. So you're a director, you're a manager, whatever it is, and you put out this directive, and you expect everybody, because they're grown, to do the work, or they're an adult, or they're mature, or they have a degree, or they have experience to do the work. And what you fail to realize is that people are people, and if they have to make a decision to shortcut the work or get it done the fastest way possible because something is happening in that day, you run the risk of leaving your organization up to chance. And it's not that people are malicious by intention or just trying to tear down your organization. It's that people will be people depending on the situation that they're in. And like we've always discussed, even a few videos ago, that the environments change, the decision making change based on the stakes of the situation. If they feel like, yeah, it's not that really big of a deal, they're gonna do what they feel is best for them in that moment. If it's high pressure, based on their expertise, they're gonna fall onto those trainings. And if nobody's doing any type of governance work or checking on what's happening and making sure that things are still rolling, you can't do it every 3 months. It has to be something that's continuous, because governance is not a quarterly based thing. Governance is a 24/7, it's daily, it's weekly, it's monthly, excuse me. And you can't let it pile up and then try to fix it all. So what I've noticed is that when you ask people why do organizations fail, their first response is always blaming the people. I blame the system, because the system is what keep the people from being people. Because when you have 40, 50 different people in the mix, there's not much that people are going to do outside of be people. So, so excuse me, I got a hiccup, man. It's crazy. Um, It's not the people, it's the system. So you have to have some sort of a system, a process, a methodology that governs the people, and then it has to have a decision maker and a human in that space who is non-biased and also is held to the standard of the system as well, because you can't have a person make the system has to be separate from a person. The person has to manage the system, which governs the people, which governs the person. And that's one thing that we're focused on providing to organizations and teams and athlete enterprises is, yes, you get this deal, yes, you get this contract. Once the deal and the contract is signed, those are decisions that were made. Now, who's going to make sure that it's actually being executed and the obligations are being upheld? I see a lot of times when an agent secures a contract for an athlete, everybody's excited. They're making the graphics. They're talking about, we just secured X amount of millions of dollars collectively just in this year, XYZ. But the follow through or the execution or the obligation in that contract is not fulfilled. And what I believe is that you're one forensic, audit away from someone saying this contract is now voided or you're now in breach because you're not following the contract. I think like when you have so many people that you're representing from an agent side, when you have so many people in your organization who you're representing, you're going to fall through the cracks, and you can't say because the athlete is 18, 19, 20 that they're grown, that they should know. They didn't read the contract, they didn't negotiate it either. And that's where you take the organizational aspect of it and you apply it to independent organizations, and you pretty much say the same thing. An organization is governing their employees, and a agency is governing or managing or representing their portfolio of athletes. And the biggest risk on this agent side is you don't have enough people to make sure that every individual contract is being obligated. It's fulfilling all of the requirements. It's upholding the end of the bargain. And I think we've gotten so far away from representation in the proper way, because a lot of these guys are just getting the deal done or getting the decision secured. And we have to establish the system and the processes that allows for these contracts to fully be executed on a professional manner. And that's what we do, right? So it's not that we think that people are lazy or they're incompetent. It's everybody has focused so much on getting the deal done or getting the agreement secured or signed that they ignore the part that actually takes place once it is signed and agreed upon.